valuable. So if you're in a place right now where you're thinking about what's next, even if you love what you do, this is a great moment to pause and reflect on what is it that you love to do. Maybe you need to do a little updating on your LinkedIn profile. Do it before you need to do it, right? Because sometimes all of a sudden, before you know it, your LinkedIn profile can look a little stale and it's not really reflecting you and who you are. So this is what we're hoping today for you to get out, get out a piece of paper, get out your pencil, take some notes of maybe what you can really do to just take your personal brand to the next level with just a few simple things. And for many of you, these might just be reminders. Okay, so let's jump into the first one, which is we're going to talk about your LinkedIn profile. So as you all know, this is how we all work in our world of work. We are all in on LinkedIn. We're in LinkedIn all day long, all the time in our community. This is where everyone goes to look at you first from a professional standpoint. So of course, have a professional headshot and use that headline. Really, that headline is your personal brand statement. And I encourage you, revisit it often and just make sure it's still resonating with what you want to say about yourself. I mean, oftentimes I might try things out or just try things on to see how they feel on my headline. So I encourage you to do that for yourself. And really, you have a catchy headline. This really sets the stage for your what I call a consistent profile. So when someone's scanning your profile, really what you're going to do is showcase your stories, and your headline is just kind of that teaser, that summary of really who you are. The most important thing is be authentic. Be who you are. Don't try to be anyone else, and don't use all these words, the gobbledygook words that people have no idea what that means. Just speak plainly, speak as yourself, speak in the first person, and be creative. So for example, I had a project manager once say to me, instead of saying at the headline, I'm a project manager, she said, I make order out of chaos. I thought that was kind of clever, kind of caught your attention. And then in her work experience, she detailed her project management accomplishments. So you can kind of see a little bit of personality with the profile, right? So thinking about really kind of making it your own. So there's some great examples on page 121 and 122 in my book, and I just put a couple of them here. We had a communications consultant, and this was her headline: communication strategist, storyteller, speechwriter, writing, elevating and amplifying narratives to change the world. So you see a little bit of the what she does and then the why she does it. We talked about that last month. The what and the why really are the heart of your personal brand statement. And she could even flip that. You could say, she amplifies narratives to change the world, communication strategist, storyteller, all the things, right? So thinking about, that's a nice way to really incorporate your why and your what in a really simple headline. It gives you a snapshot of who she is. Also, we had another consultant say brand and marketing strategist for early stage companies. So for her, she really likes focusing on those startups, and she really wanted to differentiate her brand around that target. So that's another way to think about your focus area. If you're focusing on enterprise technology, or focusing education or gaming, you could also focus on a specific industry. And even if you wanted to make this even more, kind of elaborate more, I'd say include your why. Why, back to kind of why are you doing it? Is to help, like the other ones, that change the world? Is it to create order out of chaos? Is it to help people be successful? Whatever your why is, of why you love doing the work you do, see if you can incorporate that into your headline. That usually can make it really compelling. Also, Julie Shaler, who is a career coach, we know Julie very well. She's such a dear friend of ours. She is amazing at working with people one-on-one, and she has done several training videos. She does LinkedIn workshops. I'm just giving you a very high level. So if this is an area you're feeling like you want to do more of, you really feel like you want to take your LinkedIn profile to the next level, check out her training video on our YouTube channel. Everything's free, obviously, and if you really want support, seek out Julie. She can really help you personally build out an amazing LinkedIn profile. And then there's a couple other examples here that we have on the slide. Nevena Rudolph Lowry has the communications PR technology consultant, providing excellence and the exceptional to every endeavor. So, again, something to kind of pique your interest, right? And Camilla Cooper, I love this. Your words should say it all. I mean, that kind of is a grabber right there, right? Like, what does that mean? You want to learn more. So she's a marketer and a copywriter, and then she has some specific details, B2B and course creators, creating content that works, and data to prove it. So there's lots of different ways, again, experimenting, even with the way that they have the lines, you know, between the different variations that kind of differentiates topics. You could do commas. So take a look at your headline. That it's really important, and the most important thing is be authentic, be who you are. Think about a catchy headline for yourself. All right, so let's move on to the next point here is about advocating for yourself. So this is about really kind of thinking about the work you love to do and also checking in with your client. So I have a couple questions for you to really think about right now. And the first one is for yourself, is to reflect on your accomplishments in your current project. You're all actively working right now. Some of you may be new to your project, some of you may have been for a very long time. And I want you to just take a moment, and maybe you haven't done this in a while, and really reflect on what you most love about the work you're doing right now. What is it? Is it the work? Is it the deliverable? Is it the team? Is it the organization, the industry? It could be a whole variety of factors. So write down those things that you're really loving about the work you're doing. And then also, maybe there's certain things that you're feeling like you don't really like to do. You just don't have a passion around it. Maybe you've done it for a long time and you're kind of bored, or maybe it's just something that really isn't around your expertise. So if you're finding any of those things in your project, write those things down too, to just raise your level of awareness of kind of where you are right now in your project. So what do you really love about what you're doing? And maybe what are the things you'd like to do more or less? So once you kind of get that about kind of how you're thinking about your project, I'd like to encourage you to have a conversation with your client. And these are the two questions I've advised consultants to talk to their clients about forever. They're two really powerful questions that will kind of open up really understanding the value your client sees in the business and really how you can adapt to make sure you're on track with delivering value. Because at the end of the day, it's really about what the client's perception is of the value that each of us are delivering. We might think we're delivering amazing work, and we probably are, but if the client's needs shifts or change, it's really up to us as consultants to make sure we're checking in and asking our clients, you know, what do you most value? That question alone can open up a whole conversation. I've had consultants tell me over the years that one question has led to an hour conversation about the work, maybe some of the work that you're doing that they maybe not doing enough of what they want you to do, or they haven't really had a chance to talk to, or maybe they're just going to validate, yes, everything you're doing is right on track. I'm valuing everything you're doing. And you can know that's great. Now we're in sync. I'm going to keep on marching down this path. But oftentimes, you know, it's common often for projects to change. Clients' needs might change as the organizational goals shift. And if that's happening in your project, it's really important to get ahead of that and say, hey, I might have been brought on for do this one thing. I'm seeing it shifting over here. Should I be focusing more of my time over here? And so checking in with your client to just ensure that you're delivering the work that they need you to deliver is absolutely one of the most important things you can do to ensure success. And then the other really powerful question is, what would they like to see more from you or more of? So it's a much more positive way to open up kind of what maybe they're feeling like they're not getting, that they haven't been able to have a conversation about with you, or they're uncomfortable having a conversation. Just be open to the feedback. Say, hey, what do you want to see more? What do you want to see more? What would you like me to see more to do for you? How can I add even more value? And then just pause and let them really think about it. And they might have to come back to you, or they might say, you're doing great. There's nothing more you can do. And then again, you know you're on track. So this is really about advocating for yourself. So when you really understand the value you're adding and also the value the client sees in you, it really helps kind of cement your personal brand and kind of back to those professional success stories that you're going to put on your LinkedIn profile. That's a big part of this. Okay, that's advocating for yourself. By the way, if you have any questions on this, just throw them in the chat. We've got like 15 minutes, and I just got this one more point. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie, for commenting that you asked the two questions. Absolutely. Okay, last one. activating your network. Now, for some of you, you might be like, oh, I'm really uncomfortable with this one. I don't like this idea at all. But I'm going to encourage you to rethink that. And this is really about building relationships. This isn't about like selling yourself. This is really about just reactivating relationships. And for many of us, I don't know about you, but I feel like we're just starting to kind of get out of our cocoon and see people again and have coffees and lunches wherever you are and feeling that way. This is really a great time to cultivate authentic relationships in the real world. Like you get to actually go and see people again. And so I know I'm seeing people I haven't seen for a couple years, and we're all kind of talking about how we got through this time. And in some ways, it's kind of really special to be able to reconnect on such a personal level. We've all been through so much the last couple years, and to really just check in with people on where they're at. So this isn't about you selling anything. This is just about you building your relationship. So one of our consultants, Cassandra, in the book wrote this. She had this great strategy that I wrote about that she's deployed for many years. And I think it's such a great strategy. I want to share it with you today. And it's an A and B list. So when you're thinking about work, and if you're in the market and thinking about what's next for you, she keeps the list, an A and B list. And A are people that she knows, and they also know her greatness. So it's people she's worked with. You know, it doesn't have to be a very long list, people that you know or people that you've worked with. And then there's a B list of acquaintances or people that, you know, she wants to develop relationships with, or maybe it's people that clients have referred her to. And so she's thinking, gosh, those people down the road, I'd like to get to know them better. You know, I think they might be really a great client potentially. I think I might be able to add value to some of the work they're doing down the road. So she regularly kind of looks at these lists, and before a project ends, she's intentionally reaching out and just checking in, building relationships. Hey, what's going on in your world? How are things going? What's changing? There's been, you know, a lot of changes. So if you think about your A list and your B list as you're thinking about connecting with people, it's really important, I believe, not to just ask. It's really important to offer something first and just let them know, hey, you're on a project, you're really happy, you know, maybe in a few months or down the road in a year from now, you might be thinking about something new. So you're just kind of, you're not there to sell them anything, because nobody wants to feel like they're like, and feel like, oh my gosh, are you going to ask me for a project, right? So you're not going to do that. You're just going to be very authentic and intentional. So in chapter 6, as I mentioned, there's a whole bunch of tips around this. This is just a very high level about kind of activating your network, reconnecting, and remember, it just takes one client at a time to hire you, right? So if you're thinking about what's next for you, it really is about getting intentional, even with just a few people, just a couple people that you know and that you like, and just kind of reconnecting and learning what's going on and seeing if there's somewhere you can add value in their organization. Or often, if they don't have budget, they probably know someone who does, and they're usually happy to refer you. So this is how, you know, this is what we call our self-represented model. You want simplicity. We have two ways you as a consultant get to choose to work with us. You either can bring a project in through us through your own network, and that's what we call a self-represented consultant, or we can place you on a project, and we call that a simplicity represented consultant. So you either come in one way or the other. You can change, but sometimes we have people go back and forth. So what I've just shared with you is really a strategy around what our self-represented consultants do. Some of you might not be comfortable doing this, and we totally understand it. That's why we have our talent team, our client success team. We're here to advocate for you. If this is something, though, that you're interested in doing, kind of building your skill around, Cindy and our talent team are just starting a whole series of Self-Rep Connect, and they are offering workshops where you can come in for free, and we will go through this in detail. We will teach you really how to get out there and get a project for yourself. This is what I've done for over 15 years, and our team does it all the time. This is one of the really unique things about Simplicity, is really empowering you and enabling you to really do the work you love with the people you want to do it with. So I'm going to pause there and just see if we have any questions. Or you can just jump on if you have a question for me about any of this. How's this landing for you guys? Is this helpful? Not helpful?
Lisa, while we wait for some comments in the chat, I actually did have a question that came up. So just in my head. So as you mentioned, you know, offering something with these people you're reaching out to. Specifically, I look at the B list. Those are more challenging people, I would imagine, to reach out to. When you say, offering something in your conversations or in order to maybe meet with them, could you expand on what that would look like, or how you would recommend going about reaching out to those B list folks?
Yeah, a lot of times I would say a B-list person is what I call like a warm lead. It's someone that's referred to you. You might have a common interest, something in common that you want to talk about. I mean, it could be anything. Like, for example, I'm on a couple business school boards, so I'll meet people through the boards, and sometimes we'll just go and talk about being on the board and students' things, and I have no agenda and itinerary to sell them anything, but before I know it, they're like, oh, you know what, we have opportunities at our company. Can Simplicity come in and support us? So I think if you're just connecting with people through your network, you can also be a little more intentional to say, like, yeah, I do project management work. I'd love to come share with you what I've done, how I do for example, project management, or I'm a communications consultant. I was referred to you through so-and-so, or if you can get the referred, actually do an intro, that's best. If they say, hey, I think it'd be great to have a conversation. And if you can say, I'd love to share with you, my philosophy, my approach, how I've approached managing projects for other teams. So it's back to those success stories we talked about in your personal brand. If you can get really clear on kind of the value you've added in other projects, and then what you're anticipating is that's your value, that's your offer to really go in and say, hey, I've done this before, and I'm curious if this is something you might need, or someone who might need it. And you were just going to listen and learn, or you could just say, I'm interested in learning what you're doing. So sometimes, someone's going to take a meeting, they're going to look at you having some value to bring, right, around, and that's kind of, every situation is a little bit different. But if you do that personal brand work and you're really clear on your value, and you get referred to someone who needs what you have, then it's kind of an obvious match, an obvious conversation.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Okay. Let's see. Carly asked if anyone has insights on filmmaking. I'd love to. I love that. Carly would love to chat with you. I'm working on a passion project, specifically a documentary. Okay, Carly, we're gonna have to hear more about that later. Interesting. But yeah, that's what this community is definitely for. So I know this might seem early to be like, oh my gosh, thinking about all these things. I think we certainly don't want to overwhelm you, but just start small. Start with your LinkedIn profile. Just go take a look at it. Go carve 5 minutes out even today. Check out your headline, check out your headshot, check out the stories you have there. And even if you just say, hey, is this telling a consistent story, the consistent story that I want the world to be thinking about me? Or does it just look like kind of a bunch of cut pasted words everywhere, right? Like the kind of a resume used to look. I think having a story around a headline, and then your stories, that your experiences on your work experience that really support your headline, that's a powerful, consistent profile. So maybe start there and really emphasize the work that you want to keep doing or do next. So really kind of thinking about your LinkedIn profile through that lens is probably the most important thing today, the takeaway for you today.